Hi everybody. So this video is going to show you how to start your inspirational ransom note project. The very first thing that I asked you to do is to come up with some quotes. And your quotes should be in your Google Drive and they should be in a Google Doc. I just opened my sample that I shared with you, and I have a lot of quotes in here. And I even have some more that I can certainly use, but what you're going to do is you have your collection of quotes, so you can have 3, 4, 5 or more, and you figure out which one that you want to work with. So I did ask you to highlight it, and I did have this one highlighted, and I think I'm going to go with this one. It's nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power. So that was said by Abraham Lincoln. So what we're going to do with this project is we are going to cut out letters, and each one of these letters is going to be on a separate layer, and we're going to join them together, put them in a background, arrange them. There's a lot of steps to it, so this video is going to take you through the first few steps. So what I have here is just a piece of a gallery. It's Inspirational Ransom Notes Gallery from Sparta Middle School, and this was one that was from a few years ago. So you can certainly check out some examples. You can go to artsonia.com/schools/Sparta1, and this will take you to our website, and it has a lot of samples. So from that last year, there's 16, but now if I go to 2 years ago, there's 48 examples. So you can get an idea of what some people were thinking about. So not only are there letters, you can also put a little something in the background, whether you want to put a photo in the background, or you want to put a little bit of a gradient in the background, or anything that you wish to do. But you just don't want it to stand out against the letters. You don't want it to look like the letters can't be read or they don't stand out. So you definitely want to make sure that the background doesn't overstate the words where you can't read it. Okay? So this is what it's going to be looking like. So once you find your, you pick the quote that you want to use, you're going to head over to Pixlr Editor. And what you're going to do, let me slide this over, is we are going to be working one word at a time. Now, the other thing that you should have done already is you should have downloaded and brought over to your Google Drive the letters. So we're going to open that up. And what I mean is this right here. And this is what we're going to sample all of our letters from. So it has 5 or 6 of each letter. So you're going to start with your first word. So my first word is going to be nearly. So what you're going to do is you're going to be cutting an N, and an E, and an A, and an R, an L, over here, and a Y. So these 6 letters are going to be cut individually and pasted on a new image. So we're going to open up that new image. So we go to File, New Image. Now the size of this, it should be kind of big because you want it to be a high resolution. We're going to go with the width being 2000 and the height being 1000. Okay, nice easy way to remember it. Normally we would put something in the background, but we're going to leave the background as a checkerboard because we want these words to be saved as PNGs without anything in the background. Okay, so now we're going to start. We're going to use either of these tools is fine. You can use the Marquee Select tool, or you can use the Lasso tool with the polygon, because what we're going to do is we're going to select around one of the letters. So I'm going to work with, let me zoom in a bit, I'm going to be working with N's. So I can pick one of these 3 over here, or if I slide over, whoops, I can use one of these over here. So I think I'm going to use this green one right here. So right now I'm on the lasso tool and I'm going to select the polygon. I'm going to bring this crosshair and I'm going to zoom in quite a bit here, and this is what I expect you to do. You should be, really nicely zoomed in. And you are going to select one corner and click. Now you can see that that selection kind of stuck to that one corner. I go to the other corner and I click. I go to the other corner and I click. I go to this corner and I click. And I go to the top and I click. And it looks like it kind of got a little bit jammed under here. Now, this is kind of good that it happened. I kind of messed, not that I messed up, I just can't move it to that corner the way I want. So if you want to just start again, hit Command D, meaning deselect. If you double click and you hit Command D, that will deselect what you picked. So I'm going to get this more in the center here. I think that's what my problem was. And I'm going to try this again. Click, click, click. Now notice I'm trying to get as close to the edge of that square as possible. Okay, so that's selected. I'm going to hit, I can go up to Edit and Copy, or I can hit Control C and copy it. And I'm going to go to this untitled page here and go to Control V, and I'm going to paste it. It's at this point, if you wanted to make it bigger in the space, you wanted to slide it over, it's going to spell nearly across here. So you can do that. Now I'm going to work on the next letter. Again, get rid of the marching ants around there, that selection, Command D, which is deselect. So now I'm going to work on the E's. Now you noticed I had this hand tool before, which allows me to pan around the image. If you hold down the space bar, it'll take you to that hand tool. And what it'll allow you to do is to move your view around. Okay. So I think I'm going to pick this, I'll pick this E. Now this time I'm going to use the marquee tool. I find the marquee tool to be a little easier, but I like how definite the polygon lasso tool allows the selection to get. So it's up to you which one you want to use. Control C, Control V, and again I can move this over. I'll change the size later. Control D to get rid of the selection. Next letter, I'll go with this red one. So you keep going through this process. Eventually you're going to get kind of good at it. Some shortcuts for the zoom is if you hit the control button and you hit the minus on your keyboard, it'll zoom out. Control plus will zoom in. Okay. So you need an L. Whoops. That's caused by my keypad here. Alright, so I need an L. And select this one right here. Control C, copy it. Control V, paste it. You can see here the letters are showing up here. Oh, I forgot my R. Okay, so you keep doing this process until you have all of your letters. And go back to the polygon just to move, just to do different ones here. And lastly, we need the Y. Let me get this yellow, this pink one here. Okay. So once you have all of these arranged, or where they're all in place, make sure you're spelling the words right, and always double check. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to arrange them. So you have a couple of decisions to make here with your words. You can certainly make some letters bigger and smaller in your word, but you don't want them to be crazy big or crazy small. You want them to be more or less the same. Now that's a uppercase R, and I'm going to make it a little smaller, and I can make the lowercase a bigger, so set it up until you're pretty happy with it. And it should look a bit random. You don't want them to be the same exact size. Okay, so now another choice that you have, do you want these letters to be arranged in a word where the bottoms are lined up? Do you want it lined up on the top, like this? And so you're going to be making these decisions. You may want it to just have like sort of a rhythm, like up and down, kind of random. So that's the kind of decisions that you're going to be making. Another thing you could do if you want is you can actually slightly rotate them, kind of a bit random. You want them random, but you don't want them too random. Like you want the space to be about the same. If you do rotate them, or you can overlap them, but you don't want to go too crazy with the overlapping, so you're not able to read your words. So I think I'm going to go with this kind of look. Now, one last thing before we save this, because we're going to save this as a separate file, and we're going to call it Nearly. What we can do is, if we decide to, you can certainly change the color. Now, we did this in the last project. A couple ways you can change a color. Let's say that this L, I want to see what I can do here. You can go to Adjustments, and you can go to Color Lookup. Slide this over so you can see. And you can certainly select different color schemes. You can arrange them. You can try things out. You can recolor them. Like, let's say, oh, I kind of like the orange, but you want the orange to be a little more subtle, so you can calm the color down. And maybe I want this to just be white. So you've done this before. Another thing you can do is that you can go to Adjustments, and you can go to Hue and Saturation. And you can change the color by dragging the hue around. You can make it more vivid or less vivid. You can make it brighter, lighter, or darker. You can make those arrangements like that if you feel like that's what you want to do. You can also what they call colorize. Now, right now it just looks like it's blue, but if you colorize it, it's going to make the image monochromatic, which means that a color in the background is going to show up matching the color of the letter. So you can have it colorized or not. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So once you have it set up the way that you want, okay, you could crop this, and I actually suggest cropping it. I suggest cropping it really close like this before you save it, because you don't want this extra leftover space around it. Okay, and so we're going to apply it. So now we're going to save this. Once we have it arranged the way that we want, when we're going to save it. Now when you save it, you won't be able to change anything. In other words, you won't be able to individually change it because we're going to flatten this. So we're going to save this as Nearly, which is the word that it's called.